Okay. So we have studied about NumPy. We started with NumPy in the last session. So we have seen how to create a simple NumPy ndarray and then see what is inside that array, and then finding the shape of it, finding the type of that NumPy array. You can also write print okay, and type, number of dimensions it has, data type of the elements in that particular NumPy ND array, right? And we saw how to create a matrix, and question was to create a matrix, find the transpose of that matrix, and then multiply these two matrices. Right? So this was what you were trying to do. So have you come up with an answer yet, or not? This was one of the answers given. This was also one of the answers given. So let me tell you a few things again. Right? Is this what is the shape of this matrix? It is a 3 by 3 matrix. The question was to create a 3 by 4 matrix. Okay. How are you going to create a 3 by 4 matrix? Hmm? It is a 3 by 4 matrix. How many dimensions are there? There are 2 dimensions. So keep this in mind. There will be 2 opening square brackets and then 2 ending square brackets. Okay. I will try to give you an example of. I will not solve this problem for you. This you have to solve, right? I will get two matrices, and then add those 2 matrices for you, not more than that. Okay. So let us start with it. So I want 3 by 4 matrix. Okay. So how, let us take that as A is equal to then P dot array. 3 by 4 matrix is 2 dimensional, right? So this, and you have to give, suppose is 3 by 4, and 3 rows and 4 columns, right? This is the first row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2, 3. Now when you print A, you will get a 3 by 4 matrix. Makes sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Now, if you want to find its transpose, how do we find its transpose?
In mathematics, it's to make the columns into rows and
A
rows into columns. We can, here we will use this numpy by numpy. We
T
can do it.
dot. If you use dot capital T, it will get its transpose. Okay.
Right. So
Okay. And now two parts is done. है This is done. This is done. You have to multiply it. That I will not tell you. That you have to do. Okay. So let us proceed further into NumPy, deep diving into NumPy. So suppose you have an array. For that you will have to use array. Import. You will have to import array, and suppose you have an array A, which is array dot array, and then you will have to write the contents of array. You can put I, and then you can put 5, 7, whatever you want. So this A is an array, right? And then you can check the type of it, and then you can.
हेलो
Yes.
सर, हम ट्रांसपोर्ट क्यों यूज करते हैं इसमें? इसके पीछे मतलब क्या मतलब वजह है जो हम ट्रांसपोर्ट यूज करते हैं?
Okay. ट्रांसपोज क्या होता है? What is a transpose? ट्रांसपोज क्या का मतलब क्या है?
Means the data transport one method to another method, like simple I take any list, yeah, then using their mathematical equation like multiply, addition with the help of transport.
no. Here in case of matrices, it means to convert the rows into columns and columns into rows.
Just see what has happened when we have transposed. First of all, the shape of this was. Let me run this again. This 3 by 4, okay, and B is equal to A transpose, and then B dot shape is 4 by 3, okay. Transpose का मतलब होता है, and then let us have a look at B also. What is B? Okay, and then we have this. So you might have studied about the properties of a matrix. So transposing means to convert all the rows into columns. Or you can say columns into rows.
Yes.
Transpose is one of the matrix operations which is used when you are working with matrices, solving system of equations or solving things using matrices. अब sometimes in neural network, sometimes what happens is you have a matrix of this shape, but the next layer takes input with this shape. Then you will surely have to transpose. Is it okay?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Shape change कर देता है ये, right? Also the matrix also changes with shape.
You understand, sir?
Any more questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay.
Please continue.
This was a bit about using arrays with Python. If there is a question, do we have arrays in Python? For Python, we don't have arrays. If we want to have an array, we will have to import the array library and then we can create an array. Or we can use NumPy to create an array. Right. Suppose now we have a list, right? How are you going to make a list? This is a list. Okay. Now this list you can convert it into an array. Of L. So now we have this is about converting a list into a numpy and the array. Okay. If you want to create another array, but you want to give a proper type, you want to have a type of data types in the list. What is presently what is the data type of the items in this array is a dot d type. It is int 64, right? You want to have a data MD array with type float 64, right? So now the data type has changed, right? This is how you can convert a list into an array. Okay. If you want to iterate in a list, what you do for I in L, you print I. ठीक है? Okay. And there is something called range, right? Range is used for iterations. So if you say for I in range, and then you specify starting and ending plus 1, print I. So this is starting and end, and the third argument that is possible is the number of steps that you can take, right? This is a different kind of thing. This is not a list. This is not an array. This is not a ND array. This is a range only. Okay. So you can see it as range. You say 1 to 4. Sorry, I should put equal to sign here. And then if you print x, you will have it as range 1 to 4, right? So type of x is also range. Okay. Now for I in range, 1 to 6. Okay. And then let us have it like this, 1 to 10, and this 2 is the step, print I. So two steps are, there are two steps when you are taking the values, right? Why I am discussing it? Sometimes we need to create numpy and ND arrays using range. So here one thing that we can do is, just for learning, range I comma I plus 3 for I in 2, 4, 6. And now what we have is, I think there is something missing here, which is I think range. Yes. What has this done is that this has created uh, there will be like three elements from here, and these are those three elements, because for I in 2, 4, 6 we have given. So I in 2, 4, 6. I range is I to I plus 3. Okay. 2, then 2 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 3 is excluded because we are going just up to the just before the last element, the last one when we are using range. This is last plus 1. That is why we write last plus 1. And then again, when I becomes 2, 4, so we have 4, 5, 6. When I becomes 6, we have 6, 7, 8. Okay. We will somewhere use this example. If you want an array, numpy array, with all the with 10 elements, and all of them are zeros, right? You can use zeros. If you want to use ones,
सर
yes,
43 लाइन सर अगेन रिपीट कीजिए सर कैसे रेंज आई कॉमा आई प्लस 3 और आई इन
mhm,
सर ये सब हम है सर अगर आई की जगह हम 2 रखेंगे
ये वाला,
यस यस
अच्छा. For I in 2, 4, 6 जो है, what it will do, at first I will become 2, in the next iteration I will become 4, in the next iteration I will become 6. Okay. And this happens for each iteration,
यस
right? For the first iteration, what is I? 2. So 2, 3, 4 मिलेगा because we have it in this range. For the second iteration, I will be 4. We will get 4, 5, 6. For the third
Yes.
iteration, I will be 6. And we will get 6, 7, 8. Is it okay now?
यस सर 1 बाय 1 वैल्यू पुट होगा ना आई की जगह तो अगर आई की जगह 2 रखा मैं तो नेक्स्ट स्टेप आई प्लस 3 है तो जैसे कि एरे आया है 2 3 4 एंड 4 5 6 एंड 6 7 8 तो वो 3 ऐड होते जाएगा ना प्लस आई प्लस 3 तो 2 रखा तो अगर हम 3 आई प्लस 3 फेंकेंगे तो 5 होना चाहिए
रेंज का मतलब क्या है? 1 to 4.
यस मतलब 1 से 3 तक जाएगा ये
Suppose we do
ये स्टेप है उसका स्टेप
ठीक है,
2 मतलब स्टेप यस
ये यहाँ पे
यस
स्टार्टिंग आई और आई प्लस
आई मतलब 10 यस वो रेंज
के बाद
यस
वाला सही है.
ओके
तो आई क्या है? 2.
यस
आई प्लस 1 भी आएगा,
यस
आई प्लस 2 भी आएगा, आई प्लस 3 आएगा नहीं, वहां रुक जाना
यस
है ना. तो आई आया,
यस 1
आई प्लस 1 आया, आई
यस
प्लस 2 भी आया. फिर जब आई
यस सर
4 हो जा रहा है तो 4 5 6, तो जब 6 हो जा रहा है 6 7 8 ऐसे आया.
यस सर यस सर
So for all zeros, just write zeros. For all ones, just write 1. And if you want to have an array of a given size or of a given shape with all the same values, right? So you can write empty dot full, and then you give the shape. Suppose 3 by 5 is the shape. and then what you want to put as all the elements. So A will be this. ठीक है? These are how you
Yes, sir.
create arrays, initialize ND arrays. Suppose initially you want all the value, all the things, everything as 0. If you want everything as 1, so this is how, or a given number like 35. So this is how you can do it. Okay. Now there is something called a range, right? So which is special range we have with core Python. We have something called a range, which we are going to discuss now. And it is kind of similar to the range function. So let me create np.arange 0, 35, and 3. So it is going to create this array. So 3 steps are taken. First step 0 to 1, 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3, right? And then 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. 3 steps are taken, and ending is just before 35. Okay. So we will see more of arrange. We will use more of arrange throughout the course. Okay, there is one more thing called ln space. So if we want, let me just write it. We want 5 values evenly spaced between 0 and 1. Evenly spaced between 0 and 1. This is important. So we use L in a space. Suppose we np.l in a space 0, 1, starting and ending, and we want 5 values. So we can write 5 here, and then we can see what A is. Okay. So we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values and evenly spaced. 0.25 difference, 0.25 difference, 0.25 difference, 0.25 difference. If we wanted 6 values, we would have got this. Okay.
Sir.
Okay. Now we want to get some random values, right? We want to initialize Numpy ND array with all random values between 0 and 1. So we can write it like this and then see what A is. Okay. These values will be random. We can fix a seed for random number that we will see how to do so that it is reproducible. Right? If we want a 3 by 3 array of normally distributed random values with mean 0 and standard deviation 1. For that, I will let me copy this. Here we are going to use normal, okay, and what is the starting and what is the like mean and standard deviation that we have to take 0 and 1, and the size, and it is 3 by 3 array we want. Okay, so the mean of all these will be 0 and the standard deviation will be 1.